All right, as you can see, the box for the oven element is still there, and the bed element is still on top. Anyway, um, I went this morning when I woke up. I went around looking for different chairs, and I started thinking maybe I could use a stool in front of the oven to sit on when I work on it. It's very hard getting in there, and I usually use a towel, roll it up as a pillow, and I kneel on it, and I reach in, and it's horrible, man. I'm too old. And I started thinking, when this happened to my father, he had me to fix it. All right, he would just say, "Oh, my knees." I don't have any of that. I don't have the kid. Get in there and fix it. Uh, I need you to be around here at 2 o'clock so you can help me lift something. All right. Anyway, um, I started thinking about hanging at the computer store. Now, at the computer store, you had all these young kids that were pretty good with computers, but none of them knew how to program, except like one guy. He did it for a living. And I had all these different overlapping skills. And one time they needed these little clips to do a LAN party, and they got the rack for the computers, and so I went home and made clips for them, and they had their LAN party. They used to play Quake, Doom or Quake. I don't remember which one. I think it's Quake. And I would hang out there, and one day I just happened to say I finally got my crank organ working. And Frank was like a sort of a tough guy in high school. He's all tattooed, but he treated me nice. I'm 10 years older than him, and he's staring at me, and I'm telling him, yeah, I built this organ you crank. It makes its own air, and I guess I wasn't making eye contact with him, and he goes, "Go home and get it," like real nasty. I'm like, "Whoa, what was that?" So I don't argue. I just go out to my car and I drive home and I get the crank organ. I bring it back and I set it down and I'm cranking. I said, "This is what I don't like about it." I said, "This is my first model." And he's looking, he goes, "You really built it?" And I must have mentioned I was building it or something. And he goes, "I thought you were lying." And I said, "Why are you?" He goes, and then he taught me how to tell when somebody was lying. And because my mother used to browbeat me so bad, um, I would have my facial expressions when I would talk to people about something. It seemed like I was lying, and it triggered it. And then Frank taught me how to tell when somebody's lying. So months go by, and Frank had talked me into mowing his lawns. He goes, "Look, you got to start making some income." So he gave me 2 lawns right away. His mother-in-law's, his. Was there 3 lawns? Well, anyway, maybe there was 3 lawns. So anyway, I start mowing people's lawns, and then I go out and mow, come home, take a shower, and then stop by the computer store and hang out. Every day that was what I was doing. Or I'd go up to the hardware store and get pieces for. I started like making a new crank organ, but I was at one of Frank's houses, and he had gotten out of bed, and he's out there, and he's pointing to stuff in the yard. He goes, "Make that disappear. Take that toy, that swing set down, make that disappear." And I had to be cut up. I had to dig out I actually dug them out. The the cemented corners for the swing set. It was actually, I dug them out and took them. And my garbage guys would take that. So as I'm out there, there's this big piece of plastic pipe. If you want to see it, it's the drum for the new crank organ. Go look under crank organ in my name. You'll see it. And as I'm looking at this piece of pipe, he says, "Get rid of that." I'm looking at it and I'm looking, I can make something out of this. And I realized that was just the right size for the drum. And up until then, the first crank organ had a disc mounted on a shaft, a 1/4 inch wide PVC disc with the staples in it. And if I screwed up making the disc, all I had to do was take it off and put a new disc on. Anyway, she goes, "What are you going to do with that? I know you're going to make some." I said, this is going to become part of the new crank organ. And the second crank organ read cardboard books that had holes cut in them. You've seen that on crank organs and organs. I didn't like it. but it was, you know, you could make a song, you could correct it, then you then go back and redo the book. I just didn't like it. So anyway, that piece of pipe, it was a big, long piece. I made several drums, 3 drums that you actually see, and other ones that I didn't like. But so anyway, I'm out there. I go over to visit the computer store, and I walk in with the new crank organ with his piece of pipe as the drum, and he's laughing. He goes, "You weren't shit," and I said, "Yeah." I said it went together really good. So he's turning it, he's cranking it, and in comes this guy. I won't say his name, and we really didn't realize what a liar he was. So he's looking at it, and he comes up. He says, "I built the Gatling gun model." And at the time, I also had the Where Are the Horses? Go look up Where Are the Horses? The stagecoach thing that my father started, and I redid it. And then I said I quit because people wanted me to carve horses for it. Well, anyway, so he says he's built this Gatling gun, and I had seen that set of plans. And it's a bunch of guns. You have to make a bunch of guns, and they're not on a drum. They're in a circle, and you turn it. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen a Gatling gun in the Western movies. And we're like in awe. And then I started asking him questions, and it's all falling apart. And then when he leaves, I asked him, "Well, where are the guns?" You know, he says he gave up on it. Those little guns would be nice, because I seen the plans. Each one of those guns could be something you would. They're about 12 inches long, the gun. Well, anyway, it's an old type of rifle, and I think the thing had 8 of them or whatever. Anyway, I just threw them out, and I'm like, that's bullshit. Nobody that built 8 miniature rifles would ever throw them out. You'd keep 1 or 2. So anyway, he leaves, and Frank looks at me and goes, "Boy, was he bullshitting you." I said, "Yeah, I caught it when he said he threw the gun down." He was talking about he was having trouble getting the gun to fire when you turn the crank on the Gatling gun. As the rifle comes around, a mechanism pulls the trigger back on the rifle. And he said he couldn't get that right. And I'm like, how can you not get that right? You can actually see that. It's not electronic. So anyway, he was bullshitting us. The next time he bullshit us was 9/11. And when 9/11 was happening, first, 2 weeks before, there was a fire at a building off in the distance in the Meadowlands. And I was coming down, was it Nutley Avenue? It could have been the next one over. They're named after maybe Hickory, Nutley. Anyway, I'm coming down the hill, and I could see. I had real good eyesight back then. I could see the helicopters flying around this building, and I'm like, man, it's really clear today. So a couple weeks later, I look over and I see smoke, and I see these helicopters and all kinds of planes. I start hearing fire departments in my neighborhood, in Nutley, firing up. They're going by with boats. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And a girl, no, I take that back. First, a guy from another country. I can't tell you what country it was. He comes over and he's crying. He goes, they blew up the World Trade Center. And all I said again, because they remember way back that blind cleric had them blow up the Trade Center? Yeah, anyway, it didn't fall over that time. And they found the license plate for the van they rented, and they got them. Anyway, so the World Trade Center is now hasn't. I think maybe one tower fell, and I didn't know where it hadn't fallen yet. The next car to come by, it's a girl from my bank. She's my banker, and she starts telling me, and I'm like, she goes, "Do you want to ride home?" I said, "No, I'll walk. I'll walk the rest of the way." And I'm walking, and the fire departments and all the towns are like buzzing, and that. So anyway, we get back to the store, and everybody's telling where they were, and I said, "Yeah, I was coming down the hill in Nutley," and I told the story. And this other guy says he was out maybe 46 Route 3 out there in the Meadowlands with a guy and the binoculars. He was lying. This is the guy with the Gatling gun. He had special binoculars. He didn't have. It was special. And he's telling his whole story, and he's watching the towers fall, and the whole thing. It was all bullshit. And that's when we really learned he bullshit. And then we thought. He was actually on the police department. He was actually in charge of their vehicles. But yeah, Frank. So one day Frank just went through it with me, explaining people want when they're lying. An average person when they lie don't like to make eye contact. They'll make the story very involved, so you'll believe it more. But it goes to a point where it's a tipping point. They start making details in there that they don't need to do, like the guy making special binoculars. And well, anyway, he started doing it. And then I went reading, and Frank told me it's going to change your life. He says so many people lie to you that it's disheartening. He says it'll change you, and it did. And I learned a few other things about people, how they don't finish projects, they don't even start them. They start them in their head, and they lie about it. It's like the stagecoach. I told you the story. My father got a new. He got a girlfriend after my mother died, and he kept talking about the stagecoach to everybody, and he wasn't working on it anymore. And at one point he goes, I told everybody I'm working on this. And so I took clay, and I might still have those pictures. I doctored the pictures up and made it look like he was actually still working on it. And he wasn't. And then he died. And then I took it all apart. I redid the whole thing. And then people started saying, the doors don't open and close. Everybody was discounting it. The doors don't open and close. And finally, well, where are the horses? I'm almost done. Final assembly, final painting, a little touch up here and there. Where's the horses? And they were serious. See, they're going to discount this thing no matter what you had. You have horses, now you're going to need 2 drivers on top of the hill, so you're not going to win. I said, fuck it. I put the thing away. I used to bring it out going into the winter to Easter. I'd work on it those weeks. Every year, so many parts I would make, and the plans are really hard. And I think I told you where you could get the plans in the Where Are the Horses. But there's so many people that bullshit. Now, as I'm building this stagecoach, this guy, Herb Sherb, he's dead. He kept bullshitting me he had built it. I'm like, really? Because I knew this guy. He was a screw up at work. And finally one day he says, just the outer body. That's it. He had it up in the closet, and his wife dropped something on it and broke it. He built it out of balsa wood. See, I built it out of hardwood, or not hardwood, but pine, and it was very hard working with the parts. And the Gatling gun. I went looking at the plans. I'm like, this guy built that, and the whole thing. But it turned out it was all in his head. That's it started. I had this guy. I knew how he lied. And a lot of the things he was talking about, he was just lying. So now you know what people how far somebody will go. My father says, my girlfriend's teasing me about the stagecoach that I don't work on anymore. And it was he had to say to us, well, I was working on it because I had nothing to do. I was lonely. Now I'm dating you. He could have turned this thing around. But instead, I got my camera out. I had I won't go into the camera. I had a really nice 35 millimeter camera, and I had a tripod and that old thing. And I'm taking pictures, and I'm using putty to hold parts up in the air so they look like. But anyway, I doctored them. So he went around with these pictures, and he's showing everybody, aunts and uncles. And then he dies, and you're going to finish that stagecoach right at the funeral. You're going to finish the stagecoach. Yeah, I should have buried it with the 4 wheels, which aren't even correct. And I didn't, and it just kept going. And finally, people stopped talking about the stagecoach. I kept it going because I was rebuilding it. And then when they started with the horses, and I'm like, you know what? And now with the internet, you look how many people have built the stagecoach out of scrap. And there's a lot, and there's kits. And it all started with my dad. After my mother died, he started this. I want a really good stereo. So we went to the stereo shop. And before we went, I said, we're spending $1,000. He spent like $325. He brought home a stereo at the same insides as the one he already had. It was so stupid. Anyway, my father started going through these. We had an ST chord organ, and my father couldn't play it. But he went to his brother's house, and the brother could play the organ. And he got jealous, so he went and bought an organ, and it was loaded with dead cockroaches. They fumigated it. He bought it used. It was I had to go in there, and there were notes that didn't work because there were neon bulbs that were broken, and I got it all working. And then my father started putting numbers on the keys. He did that, the stagecoach, and he said to me, he goes, all these things I always wanted to do, now I don't want to do them. That was the insight. Okay, I tell you this about me with the old radios. There's a reason why you want the old radios, and it's psychological. And these people that bring the old cars home, it's psychological. They bring the car home, they never work on it. They keep bringing it on. Finally, they die, and their family's stuck with the bill to get rid of all those cars. And I've been through this. I told you the different stories. The guy with all the dumpsters to clean his crap out, he was a hoarder. And I sort of learned from everybody. And then I put it all together. I was doing the same thing with the radios. And then I kept noticing RCA patents on these radios. So I started doing a little research. And RCA really had the AM radio circuits tied up. That's why he didn't want, Sarnoff didn't want FM coming along. Go read the story on what he did to that guy. It's all fixed. But anyway, you got to stay with a project. And what happens when you're doing a project, it starts to get boring. In the beginning, it's exciting. When you finish it, it's exciting. In between, it's really hard. It's boring. And then you'll see something else that's more shiny, and you'll jump to that, and you'll put the thing away. And when people ask you, you'll make believe you're still working on it. It's just human nature. But this Frank goes, I'm going to teach you how to tell when people are lying, and it's going to change, and I did. And, when I go out walking, I'll meet someone that's a stranger, and they can make up anything they want. But as soon as they start lying, the hands come up close to the face. They make it more complicated than they have to, so you'll believe them. So they don't believe what they're telling you, so they make it more precise and more complicated. And you ask them a question that's real simple, and I don't. Did I ever show you the fax machine? I think I did. Anyway, yeah, it's one of the videos. I built this machine that you hook it to the shortwave radio, and you put these special pieces of paper in there. They're conductive, and they burn, and that's what makes the image. It's not thermal paper. It's what the hell was the name of it? Thermal white? I can't remember the name. I can see the thing paper. Teleprinter? I think it was Teleprinter Company. It might have been Xerox. Yeah, Xerox teleprinter paper. It's clay and something else, but when you put the ohm meter across the paper, it has resistance. And the needle of the fax machine is a piece of wire from a wire wheel, and there's like 30 to 60 volts that burn the paper. And yeah, I designed the whole thing, and I used step-in motors. I did stuff no one else did. And then it became obsolete. But anyway, I took it to the shortwave store, and using I got to tell you, a Sony 2010 radio. I set it on the table. The fax machine's on the table. The Sony 2010's there. And it was Radio NAM out of Virginia. I think it was NAM. And I turned it on, and it printed an Earth picture of maybe it was a storm coming, a hurricane. And the woman from the shortwave store, she hung that up on the wall, and she took other drawings from the machine and sent them to the magazine, because her husband was the editor of Stereo Review, one of them. Anyway, she had connections, and she basically got a letter back. We don't want to show his drawings on any article from his machine because it's better than what our advertisers are selling. That's the letter I got back. But yeah, I built these machines. I stay with it, and then other people. I'm in the shortwave store, and the guy's looking at it. He goes, "Oh, I designed one." I'm going, "Holy shit! What did you use for the drum?" No, what he did was he bought the M80 decoder, and he had a video monitor and a receiver. He made it by plugging the wires between the three units, the shortwave radio, the M800, whatever it was, decoder, and the shortwave radio, and it had a CRT. Uh, and people standing and looking at mine, laughing. They're like, this guy opens his mouth. Now, I don't even believe he had those three units now as time stands now. But it's really embarrassing when you build something or do something and the other person never did it. And I told you, I was talking to people. I said, yeah, I'm trying to get published. I got stuff on slush piles. See, when you submit articles to magazines, they don't even do it now. It's a waste of time. It goes on what they call a slush pile. And then when their writers don't have anything, they go in the slush pile and look for something. And then they publish it. And then they call it, then money, the magazine shows up at your door with your article in it. You got to watch them. They'll publish it without asking you. And it's in the rules that they never tell you. I don't want to go into it, the type of people that do that. But yeah, I've done it, been there, done that. But the people around me, it only took a year. And I was at the park, and the one guy, I think the guy's name was Herb, and he kept encouraging me. And the guy across the street, and it was only a year. Both of them died. Okay, they were both retired. I'd walk with Herb in the park with his dog. He got cancer and died, all within a year. And the guy across the street got like a Hodgkin's from being near a plating. He was a draftsman, but in the room there was vats of acid and something else. They made catalytic converters for industry, not for cars, in this room. And the vapors from all the processes killed every one of those guys. I won't say the name of the company, but every one of the guys got a blood type cancer and died. There's lots of stories in that because, yeah, I was involved in that. The guy lived across the street. He had 2 sons and a daughter, but when it came to shoveling his steep driveway out, I ended up doing, because he wanted to go to his own car, in his own car, to get his chemo, and it didn't work. They actually took his marrow out of his bones and then put new marrow in. It was horrible. Well, anyway, I don't want to go. It was really horrible. But I've been through a lot, and I'm still. I won't say I'm still learning. I'm still getting screwed over here. People are very tricky, and you always tell you when somebody's drowning, watch it when you try to help them because they'll pull you down. Yeah, that's another thing. When people are in trouble, you get involved too close to them. They'll start wanting you to let them move in with you. There's stuff that I've experienced. You will never experience. You probably have a wife that says, "Don't even think about it." But I had a realtor. She's still alive. She was very old. I used to walk with her in the park when she got her new knee, her new hip, and she helped me sell her house. And she'd go home and talk to her husband about me, how this guy should have a job, what's going on. And the husband just kept saying, "Don't bring him home. Do not bring him home here." And she had line cords going out of her house, electrical extension cords, to 2 neighbors. She was supplying the neighbors with electricity for their refrigerator. All right. She's telling me the story. I said, I'm the same way. I said, I'm still helping these people here, and I'm on the way out. And one woman, she's a nut job. I'm loading my pods. I'm gone in a day and a half. And she's coming over to me. "You have to water my lawn. I'm going away for 2 weeks." I said, "I'm going away too. I'm going to Pennsylvania." And then she says to me, "Well, your problems aren't as bad as mine." What had happened was her daughter's daughter, drugs, car accident. She died. I sort of told you that story, where I'd walk down the street, and these neighbors would come out and give me really bad news. So I went out the back fence. I could go down my backyard and go on River Road, and there's a sidewalk down there. I'd walk that way, and my neighbor next door was worried about me. She said, "What are you doing there?" I said, "Every time I walk down the street, somebody comes out and tells me something." She goes, "You're being ridiculous." I said, "No, I'm not being ridiculous." I said, this keeps happening. I said, I can't stop it. So she's like, I said, all right. I said, I'm going to walk down the street right now. I start walking down. Mrs. Brady comes out. And she tells me that the girl I grew up with, her daughter just drugs, whatever, car accident, she's dead. I turn around. I come up and I talk to the woman, Mrs. Podesta. I said, did you know Mary Jane's daughter's dead? Oh, my God, no. I said, I ain't walking down the street anymore. And I walk down the backyard. Think about that story. Think about that. I stand there and I say, every time I walk down this street, somebody comes out and tells me somebody's died. I'm tired of it. I need to break whatever the hell's going on. And then this woman, oh, don't be like that. And you're getting paranoid. I walk down there. What happens? Okay. Turn around, come back up. And after that, I was like, get away from me. And she's the one that taught me, don't care what other people think. But she was worried about me. When I got the second cat, I had a cat. Got a second cat, keep the first cat companion. And her husband came over, had a long talk with me. They were worried about me. I took the second cat back because it was diabetic. But anyway, I only had the one cat at the end. Yeah, got ran over 5 days before I moved here. Think about that. Yeah, because this stuff was going on in the house, and the cat gets very nervous, and they do stupid stuff. It went across the road. It never went across. They got hit. And then, yeah, I can't tell you the rest of the story because it could be considered racial. Oh, my God. Stuff that's happened to me. It'd make a great book. I think I could put it in a book, and people would look the other way. But it's the absolute truth, some of the stuff that's happened to me. And the coincidences are unbelievable. But there's never a coincidence that makes me win the lottery. I kept saying to people, I have all these wacky coincidences. That's why when I talk to anybody that I don't know, I watch what I say because that person could be related to somebody else. And I had this one guy, he's telling me about he's complaining to this guy over there. I said, that guy there? Yeah. About this guy over there. I said, yeah. I said, you know they're cousins, right? No, they're cousins. The guy that you are renting from built the houses that guy also owns. They're cousins. He goes, oh, no. I go, yeah, oh, no. I said, when you're in Pennsylvania in certain sections, the people are related. There's so many things in life, and I was trying to teach the male kids. I said, I'll tell you some of this stuff. I said, I don't want to ruin your life for you because when you really know what's going on, you won't get involved with people, and that's really what life is. You get involved with people, but the really good people that you want to get involved with, they tend to be busy all the time, and or smart enough not to get involved. I don't know which it is. But, I learned a lot because I put myself out there, But it was so funny. I'm at the shortwave store, and I have my spinning drum fax machine there, all handmade parts. And it's on. It takes 3 minutes per picture or something like that. And it does grayscale. And it did the round Earth with all the storms on it. And that hung up in the shortwave store for weeks, for months. And guy goes, oh, I built one of these. And we're all like, holy shit, really? I started asking about the drum. Did he use stepper motors? Or, because originally the motors were synchronous AC motors with gears. And you had to build an oscillator-driven 60-cycle source. And that's what kept the motor synchronized. Yeah, go read up on old fax machines. It's really cool stuff. See, I would see something. I take that back. I was helping the woman at the shortwave store. And we're cleaning up. She had a flea market on her property. And she had a stack of magazines, electronic magazines. And she goes, do you want those? I said, yeah, I'll take them. They weren't just a stack of electronic magazines. They were all the magazines that were there had fax machine projects or slow scan television. Won't go there. Go look at slow scan TV. Yeah. We won't go there. But the hams used to send pictures to each other, GIF pictures at the end in color. Look up the name Robot. There's so much that goes on in the world if you get involved. Well, anyway, she gave me the book. I went home. I was going through all these books, and I started pulling out the articles and stacking them that I decided to make a fax machine. And I knew it was a 60 cycle motor with gears, so that you could make it. You could make that shaft turn exactly once per second or twice a second. Well, anyways, and they're big motors. You get them through New York. They pull them off an old giant fax machine, and they're like $150 each. I use Steppen motors. I used them from a 3 1/4 inch floppy. Yeah, yeah. I think, and I learned how Steppen motors work, and that jumped right into the CNC machines using Steppen motors. It's been a long journey, and I wish somebody was here to fix the damn oven. I really was. I think that's it for now. All right, that's it for now.